Welcome, everyone, to the Real Estate Experience podcast. Truly enjoy having you on for another week. You know the next steps. Those of you who are on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can be informed. And also drop a comment below. Would love to overall just hear from you. And on this episode, we have Bruce Peterson. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So just a little bit about Bruce, in case you're wondering, and I love that painting that you have in the background. Is that Machiavelli possibly that's in there?
That's my grandfather, painted in World War II in Germany.
Wow. Okay, there we go. And so we have, as mentioned, Bruce Peterson, he is known as the apartment guy. He's got his company that is Blue Bonnet that is involved in syndicating multifamily property throughout Texas. That's between, I would say, the unit size of 120 to 300 units. And one of his best or something that he's known for in actually a Bigger Pockets podcast episode that he was on was going from college dropout to owning over 900 units. So I would say, Bruce, could you go into your ultimate 5% of what shaped you to where you are today?
What shaped me? Well, I grew up poor, college dropout, didn't thrive in that setting at all. I'm a lifelong learner like many people, but that stuff just wasn't for me. So I fell into retail for a long time, did it until I realized this sucks. I did not like it anymore. You know, it was breaking down my body. I'm 5'8". I was 240 pounds. I had no relationship of any kind, no kids, no pet. I had nothing. So, you know, I had enough. I hit 42, 43 years old and just walked away. I had saved enough money to walk away. And then I just tried to figure out, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? And I found real estate, found a mentor, and listened to them tell me, look, don't do single family, do multifamily, because I had what it took to get straight into multifamily. There is nothing wrong with being in single family, but if you really, really want to scale a business and really make a difference and make a lot of money, to be frank, you really do need to do it in multifamily. So I listened to them. So again, came from a very good upbringing, even though we were poor. Great mom. I didn't know I was poor, until Toys for Tots showed up on the doorstep one day, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, I'm poor. Right?
Oh, gotcha. Well, do you realize, or it was like, oh, cool toys, thank you so much?
Oh, hell no. See, I was 13 at the time. That's when guys are trying to figure out who they are, right? The machismo starts to kick in. All the hormones start raging and all that stuff. And I come home from grocery shopping with my mom, and I see this on the doorstep. I'm like, what the hell is that? I open up the box, and I'm like, oh no, I'm poor. And we lived in government housing, but my mom was so amazing. I still didn't know I was poor. I mean, if I ever objectively sat back and looked at my life, of course it was obvious I was poor, but it was never in my mind until that day. And I don't know that spurred me to be like driven like crazy. I don't know, but yeah, that was the first awakening that I do need to change something, I guess.
Gotcha. And you mentioned because one of your first deals was a 46 or 48 unit?
Yeah, 48 unit that I bought in 2012 with the help of my mentor.
Got it.
And we did really well with that one. I had no experience. Again, I was a retail guy. I had quit working for other people, so I didn't have a job. I had no experience. And, I'm a young guy out there on my own. But again, I had a mentor. She helped me secure a loan. She didn't sign on it, but she, showed me the process and got me hooked up with somebody that would.
Okay. And in terms of, you mentioned before you made that transition, what were limiting beliefs? Did you have any limiting beliefs as you made that transition, or how did that process go?
I don't know that I've ever had many limiting beliefs, but it was just, I want to say maybe dogma, right? But I just didn't know this stuff was out there. I mean, you always hear about real estate, there's buildings all around, real estate exists, and you hear people talk about owning stuff. I thought, But again, it never occurred to me. I made a decent living in retail. I climbed the corporate ladder. I was doing really well. I was rumored to be the next person to be promoted as a district manager. So I was doing everything right. I was climbing that ladder. So I don't think I ever had a limiting belief necessarily, but I was always looking for something different. Even when I liked retail, I tried to start all kinds of other companies, a mail services company, a product assembly company. I was doing.
So you had the entrepreneur spirit all throughout.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I sold baseball cards as a kid, lemonade stands as a kid, all that stuff. So I wasn't dissatisfied for the longest time, but I knew there was something more. So again, not really a limiting belief. It was just, you don't know what's out there unless you, okay, we can go into like leveling up your circle of influence, right? You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
So
Well,
I agree with that.
All my time with all kinds of retail managers. And by every objective measure, I was the best at that because they were about to promote me. So I was like, my peer group does not elevate me in any way. They were great people. I loved them to death, but they didn't elevate me. And I didn't know where to go find those other people. And I didn't even know I needed to find those other people until I got out of it and realized, oh my God, there's a whole other world out here that I don't know anything about. I got to plug in and I got to figure this out. And it's been the best journey of my life. It's how I met my wife. I met my wife at a real estate event. And now I have an adopted daughter, her 13-year-old daughter at that point. I adopted her when she was 16. So I've got a great life and a great family because of real estate in some weird twist.
Got it. And I just love how you use that quote. I'm even taking notes, you guys. So you'll definitely want to take notes too. So many golden gems that was throughout that is being the sum total of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And if you're the big fish and the small pond is, in essence, there is really no room to grow because in those people, as many as you could say, whether it's your family, relatives, they're great people. But if you want to grow, you've got to surround yourself with people who are wanting to grow or are already farther along in the process.
Right. So if you walk into a room and you're the smartest guy in the room, never happens for me, right? I'm stupid. I'm a college dropout, right? I never have that. But if you walk into a room and you're the smartest guy in the room or the most successful, let's put it that way, get out of that room. Now, realistically, be in the room, help others up. People helped me up. But at the same time, to grow, you can't spend a lot of time in those rooms. Help anybody that needs help the best you can, but you got to find a bigger room to be part of.
Got it. And in terms of that mentorship, what was it that you learned that helped you in that first deal ultimately, or that you learned before taking down that first deal?
Well, I had led people my whole life, so I understood kind of how to run a business. Even though it was retail, I was still in charge of a P&L and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew that. I needed to be taught the nuts and bolts of apartments. But the biggest thing that my mentor helped me with was a paradigm shift. I'm just trying to figure all this out, reading books and talking to anybody that will talk to me about it. So I'm like, okay, like everybody else, I want to go out and buy 2 to 4 single family homes, pay those off over 30 years, and then live off the cash flow. And that will be my retirement. And she's like, what the hell are you thinking? I'm like, what? Isn't that the game? She goes, no. It is not the game. If that's where you need to start, it is the game. But you got to get yourself into commercial real estate, and her thing was multifamily. So I listened to her. I learned never to pay off a piece of investment real estate ever. Now, people will argue with me on that, and I get it, but it depends on what you want. Everybody is wired their own way. You could argue that people in COVID especially, they're safer with no debt. Absolutely. I believe you can take on safe levels of debt, never pay off that real estate, keep your money working for you, and generate the returns that you need. Because if you buy everything with cash, you can only buy so much.
Exactly.
It's going to slow down your growth. But again, you can do it safely. But that's the biggest thing she taught me is get into multifamily right away, and don't look back.
Got it. And I love that you just knew you were self-aware enough. And that was one of the things that helped me along my journey when I started just on the self-improvement, was really rewiring a lot of the beliefs that I had from childhood or the limiting beliefs that I had, and just started rewiring and putting more empowering ones. And then that allowed me to just ultimately, when decided to take down those deals and scale up portfolio and all that, is just ended up taking action. And then,
Right.
So from that first deal, how was that structured? Did you use your own cash? Did you bring on investors?
Again, I was very wise in the fact that I realized I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So I was going to listen to the professional that I had hired. Now, to be honest, I hired her. I paid her a lot of money to teach me, right? Because I knew that the potential was huge, but also there was a lot of potential to screw this up and fall flat on my face. So I paid somebody.
And could get wiped out and never want to do it again.
Exactly. In apartment complexes, you can lose tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars if you do it wrong. So part of what she told me was, look, don't buy the 5 to 6 unit apartment complex that a lot of people around you right now are telling you should get started small so you can learn. She goes, do you want to manage that property? Like, Well, no, I quit working for other people because I don't want to buy a job. That's dumb. She goes, well, then don't buy a 6 unit. Don't buy a 12 unit. Buy a 48. I'm like, I don't have the amount of money to put into a 48. She goes, well, I'm going to teach you how to syndicate this deal. I'm like, oh.
And did you ever know about that? So that was another mindset shift.
No, I knew nothing about syndications, but you come to learn that almost every major purchase made in this nation at every level in every industry is done as a syndication. And people don't realize that. The Dallas Cowboys, that is a syndication. He didn't put up all the money. He had investors come in with him. They're all syndications. So no, I didn't know anything about that, but I listened to her and I thought, okay, I have the time to do it. I have the work ethic to do it. I have the intelligence to figure it out. So my very first deal was a 48 unit syndication. I've never done anything but syndications myself and only done multifamily.
Got it. And so with that, how was it? How did you find the investors? How did you structure? If you recall, was it just straight equity? Was there a preferred return? Or
we can go into a few things there, and I'll shock you with one of my statements in a second. But no, I found all but 2 of my first investors. My first property, I brought in 14 investors with me. All but 2 of those people came from a meetup I started. This was back in 2011. I don't really know what meetup is. I just said, hey, I'm going to meet at Starbucks. You want to meet with me? Sure. Me and one guy. And then over about a 5-6 year period, that turned into about 400 or 500 people. So it grew like crazy. Never put it on Meetup because I didn't need to. Now I've got my own database, but that's basically what it was. I started a Meetup. They got to know me for about 9 months before I closed on my first property. And in that 9-month period, this is part of that SEC regulation thing, right? That you have to have a pre-existing and substantive relationship with these people. And I did. Even though I had no experience, no track record, they got to know me on an intimate level. We barbecued and boated and went out for drinks together. So they knew, liked, and trusted me at that point. So that's how I got mine. And then you talked about structure a little bit with preferred return. I've never done a preferred return. Okay. I hope to never do a preferred return. And I'll explain why. Most people think, oh, you're greedy. No, it has nothing to do with greed. It's exactly the opposite. People think, oh, well, a preferred return gives me guarantees. Oh, and it doesn't give you any guarantee as a passive investor. All it does is says that the syndicator or the deal sponsor will not get their premium or their promote until your hurdle has been satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. If it never gets satisfied, well, there's no profit to give you. So if there's no profit, there's no profit. But again, it just means you get paid before the syndicator. So why I don't do it? I got to be compensated in some way for all the hassle, to be honest, the stress, the liability, and the work that's going to go into managing this project for other people. If I'm going to give away pretty much every bit of my cash flow, because if I have an 8% return and I have a 6% pref, I only get promoted on that 2% gap. That's it. And that's fine. But I can't live on that. I have to make money doing this or there's no sense in doing it. I'll just be passive for somebody else. So what people will do, they'll have a preferred return, but to get paid, they'll have an acquisition fee, a disposition fee, and a refi fee. I don't like that thought process for the passive investor because I buy $20 million assets on average. Mm-hmm. If I have just kind of an average 2% acquisition fee. Now, some are 1, some are 4, but let's just say a 2% acquisition fee. $20 million purchase. The day we close, the partnership has a sunk cost of $400,000 that went into my back pocket. Mm-hmm. If the market falls apart tomorrow, even with my best efforts, we still lose the property. I still got $400,000 in my pocket. I have a really hard time with that thought process. So I don't charge those. But if I'm not going to charge those, again, it goes back to I got to be compensated. So that's why I don't do a preferred. I explain it to all of my investors, and I've never had one investor when they understand the rationale behind it. Oh, okay, no, that makes sense. I'm fine. I don't need a preferred return.
And it's all sales too, in the way. Yeah.
Right. It's how you package it. Don't ever lie. Don't ever mislead anybody, but give them the why. What's in it for them? Always put it in terms that they're going to benefit from. And if there is no benefit to them, I don't think you should do it actually. But when I'm talking to my leasing agents, look, tell them why they need this apartment. Don't tell them why you need them to rent it so you can get a commission. They don't give a shit about that.
Not at all. Agreed.
What's the benefit for them? Put it in their put it in their mind, I guess.
Got it. Love it. And there's so many ways to structure deals out there. There's what you were saying, the preferred return. There's the fees up front. Well, if you don't charge the fees up front, then you could change the equity. Yes, so many ways. And I've had people reach out to me looking for black and white. It's like, there's no black and white when it comes to this.
It's a negotiation between you and your investors. That's it.
Yeah, and you want to give them enough, you would say, to where they keep coming back versus saying, well, I only want to give them this finite, but it's you because you just want to keep them reoccurring.
Right. And that, to me, that's a scarcity mentality, and that's a short-term game. And that's, that's short-sighted as hell, because don't expect to make a ton of money. Brandon Turner on Bigger Pockets talks about this all the time. You're not going to make money on your first deal. Okay, that might not always be true, but for the most part, your first deal, in my opinion, it's not there to make you wealthy. It's not going to. Give up as much as you can afford to give up and still make it worth your while, right? But give as much to your passive investor as you can, because you want to go past that 6 unit, that 12 unit, like you're saying. I want to own 1,000. We're at 1,100 units now that we've syndicated. I would have never gotten there if I would have tried to bleed all my partnerships of every dime that I could put in my pocket. We all got to make money together. That's what allows you to scale.
Gosh, love that so much. And that you went into the scarcity mindset, because most people don't realize they have the scarcity mindset when asking that specific question in itself. So yeah, great for pointing that out. And so on that deal, what were things that you could have did all the necessary education, or in essence, learning lessons from that deal that you were able to, or a failure that you were able to, that later set you up for success?
Well, one thing, I always prided myself on not being a micromanager and empowering other people, but this is a new industry. There's a lot of money on the line for myself, but there's a lot of money on the line for my investors. So I kind of retreated into more of a controlling mindset. But so what happened is I hired an experienced manager, because I don't know how to do any of this.
I've been property management company. Property, is that what
no?
You
my
mean?
first well, I had that for the first 6 months because that's what the lender required, or they wouldn't lend me the money. But then after 6 months, I created my own management company, hired my own manager. So I hired somebody more experienced than me because, again, I was taught the academics of how to do this, the theory of how to do this, but I've never done it. I don't know how to do it. So I hired an experienced manager, and I was telling her all the stuff I was taught in the books and by my mentor. Oh, well, you know what? We're going to spend this $3,000 to upgrade this unit. We're going to get about $75 to $100 extra in rent. She goes, okay. And we do that for about 6 or 7 units. And she finally pulls me to the side. She goes, Bruce, stop. I'm like, what do you mean stop? She goes, look, you want to get an extra $75 in rent for this unit that's coming up, unit 101. Like, yeah. You want me to spend roughly, it was somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 on this studio is what it was. It was very small. And so you can get that rent increase. I said, exactly, that's the business plan. She goes, well, I can get that for you without improving it at all. I'll make it clean and safe, livable. But
so
we're
just
not going to
simply turning the unit versus
right. Make it clean. She goes, I can get the rent you want without doing that. I'm like, come on, that's not what I was told when I was, So I was like, but you know what? I'll trust you. I don't believe it, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. And of course, she proved me wrong. She knew what she was doing. I was getting in her way, and I was costing myself profit and my investors profit because I had slipped into a controlling mindset instead of a delegating mindset and an empowering mindset. And it was hurting me. When I went back to what I was always doing in the retail world, because I was comfortable there.
Got it.
When I got back to that mindset, we took off. So that was the biggest learning experience there, is to remember, empower those around you that you've hired, give them the ability to make decisions and listen to them.
Got it. And is that one of those things, trust but verify, still at the end of the day?
Of course. Yeah. I still would always go at that time. It was my only apartment complex. So I wasn't pulled between multiple trying to keep track of them all. So yeah, I would be up there with her at least once a week. And we'd just sit down and talk about how this week go, how did last week go, and how is next week going to go. Show me the ones that you've done. And they weren't what I envisioned, but they were clean and safe. And then what we really did is we established what she could get with the current condition. And now I know what my cap is. Now I could try to do an upgrade above that. But I was just upgrading because that was the model. That was what I was taught. You come in and upgrade and you get more rent. She said, well, let me see how high we can get it without doing upgrades and then do upgrades. So, yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Awesome. And so as you look to scale, are you leveraging in terms of finding let's go into the finding deals. Are you going direct to owner? Are you establishing relationship with brokers? How are you taking deals down in, you could say, today's climate or over the past 2 to 3 years?
Right. So again, this is another thing that might slap some people in the face and go, no, that works. It does not work. So, people want to, send out the yellow flyers, the yellow mailers, whatever that's called, and cold call everybody. And like, okay, look, when you're buying a 6 to 12, maybe a 24, 48 unit, okay, yeah, that can work there. I'm buying 1 to 300 unit properties now. I bought a 484 unit portfolio a couple years ago. That's not going to be found by doing these mailers and call. Yeah, it's all relationship building with the brokers. Every deal but one that I've ever bought was a listed deal. Put yourself in the seller's shoes. Why would I ever take a non-marketed deal to market, so to speak? Why would I ever do anything non-listed, a pocket deal? Well, okay, I'm about to sell, but for me not to list it, I'll sell it to you as an off-market deal, sir, but you're going to give me a premium because now I'm not going to take it to the market and have 100 people looking at it, maybe having 20 people bid it up. So for me to forego that as a pocket listing, if I'm going to take it to market at 23 million, well, give me 25 million and I won't take it to market. So for the most part, my belief is a pocket deal at this level usually isn't going to be a good deal. It can still work out, but it's just kind of rare. So again, these are deals that are listed. I'm one of many that are bidding on them. And I've just, I've established my name in the industry as being a very low maintenance buyer, a very respectful buyer, and a professional buyer. So I get deals sent to me that get awarded to me that I'm not always the highest bidder on because they know I'll make it happen.
Got it. And that's the main thing is what brokers want to see is the ability to close. And if you've closed previous deals with them, then that gives you the upper hand over all the other buyers.
Exactly.
Yeah, even though if you're willing to pay top dollar. So shifting to the investor side, is that still your primary channel is through the meetups? Are you now posting content to get people in? Or is it just a mix of everything?
It's a mix of everything. We started up, so I let that meetup go and I kind of turned over the reins to a buddy of mine. He runs it now. And we went and started our own meetup again. So we're still doing that. I do lots of podcasts. So I'm getting people there. We go to all the national events we can get ourselves to. Bigger Pockets and Jake and Gino. I've been to the Michael Blanc stuff, Think Realty. So we go to all those as well. But I am creating content. I wrote a book. And so all that is designed to bring awareness to who we are, right? Because as a syndicator, as crass as it might sound, my job is to raise money. My goofy saying is I can make a lot of people a lot of money, but if I can't raise any money, I can't make anybody any money. Right. So
Got it.
I'm in the business of raising money. I can make people a lot of money, but I got to raise it. So I've got to, my license plate says apartment guy. Yeah.
Oh, nice. How'd you get that? Is there other?
I'm in marketing. That's what I'm doing with my life now. That's what my business is.
Got it. And so is it Bruce Peterson is the brand and everything filters down, or do you filter through your company?
I filter through my company. I am the apartment guy, so it's always Bruce, the apartment guy, Peterson. So it's branding. I was on a Zoom meeting that I probably about a month ago, and I'm in my apartment guy shirt. I was on a podcast, and I was out going and talking to other people throughout the city.
So you're the brand, and then everything filters through you, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay,
right.
Gotcha.
So somebody called me out on that Zoom call, said, Bruce, do you always have apartment guy stuff on? I was like, it's like he was putting me on point, right? And on notice. And it was weird. And I was like, yes, I'm marketing. Never miss a chance to market. Are you kidding me? I try not to be hateful or, vitriolic about it, but I was like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. Talk to Grant Cardone about marketing. Talk to Gary Vaynerchuk about marketing. Don't be obnoxious about it. But yeah, you got to get your name out there.
And you mentioned it earlier is people do business with who they like and trust and who they know. Exactly. And if you're putting yourself out there and let's say someone decides to they sign up for your site to be interested in one of your deals, that's because they've seen you all these places. And let's say you're on the Bigger Pockets podcast. Now you've just built up your credibility and just pushing your brand out there. So it's huge.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it is. You gotta be relevant, try to communicate with as many people as you can. The goal is to have as many people talking about you as possible. Now that doesn't sit well with some people because they're like, oh, well, that's egotistical and you're a narcissist. No, I'm not. I'm a business owner. People have to know I exist or this doesn't work. So yeah, that's what it's all about. It's all for good reasons and you can do it without being a schmuck, but that's what we're doing.
I agree. And that's that person's mindset. It just comes down to their way of thinking. And you could you compare it to a thermostat? If they have that type of belief, and let's say they're wanting to raise, let's say $1 million, $2 million, or even more than that, that they'll be capped out just due to that belief that they have that, well, in order to promote myself, I have to be a narcissist or something along
right. So that's a douchebag move, Bruce. I'm never going to do it. Well, okay, good luck ever raising more than $100,000. I can go out and raise $15 million tomorrow, right? So it just depends on what kind of life you want to have. And some people are honestly on that thought are just turned off by the thought of money. You know, the famous saying, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not. It's because you're too scared to try or you're lazy. I don't know what the thought is, or you were brainwashed that crap.
Such a bad belief. I had that, or that in order to be wealthy, you had to do something conniving or deceiving to get there. Just imagine, how could you ever become rich if you're a moral person? Yeah, it's just, the
more money you make, the more people you can help. If you're a crap person, you have money, you're a bigger crap person. If you're a good person with money, you're a better person. My wife and I want to open a 24 to 36 unit nonprofit apartment complex. Our oldest daughter is autistic. She's an autistic adult. And believe it or not, adults still bully people that are different than them. And it's disgusting, but it happens. So our thought is to go out and have this nonprofit 24 to 36 unit. And if somebody has an adult child with learning disabilities and they work at McDonald's, well, they can't afford to put that they wouldn't pay anything. It's a sliding affordability scale. What I make, sorry to be crass again, but if I make millions a year, I can afford to go off and do that. If I make $100,000 a year, it's going to be real hard to do that. So the more money you make, the bigger difference in the world you can make, and the better you're able to help other people. Now, if you're not one wired to help other people, then having a lot of money is just going to make you a more miserable person. I get it, but it has nothing to do with the money. The money is a tool to do good. That's all it is.
Got it. Love it. And in terms of the acquisition side, is with COVID, we're sort of coming out of it, sort of coming back into it. Who exactly knows? Where do you feel the market's starting to go? Do you feel that prices are going to be a reduction, 50 cents, 60 cents on the dollar, or they're steadily cap rates are going to be compressing? What's your thought? I know you don't have a crystal ball or anything, but.
Right. So we'll talk about it. First of all, everybody's reaching out to me. Hey, I want to buy your property. Hey, will you sell? Have you considered selling? Sure, I'll sell that 256 unit property, but hear me very loudly and very clearly. There will be no COVID discount because we're going to come out of this. And we're all going to be fine. So you will not bottom feed with me. I run a good company. I run a good property. I'm not in distress in any way. My collections are where they need to be. I have ample reserves. So don't bottom feed with me because it's not going to work. Okay. And then cap rates. Yeah. When you effectively go to zero for interest rates, with spreads, you were looking at 2.5% to 3% interest rates. Cap rates did go down. Everybody thought, well, they can't get below, 5.5% to 6% for a C property. But they did. In Austin, where we own one of our properties, a 200 unit, I was talking to the broker the other day that I bought it from. He said, man, if you ever want to sell, I was like, I don't want to sell. He goes, Bruce, I'm telling you, I can get that sold for you at a 4 cap. I'm like, what? He said, yes, even during COVID, it's a flight to safety. Austin is considered very safe.
I love Austin. Beautiful city.
Very safe. And I can get it traded at probably about a 4 cap. And it's kind of in the hood of Austin. Our hood is not that bad, but it's the hood by Austin standards. And, I bought it for $99 a door 3 years ago, but now I could probably sell it for $160 a door. And that's in the
Wow.
hood in Austin. So prices have held steady, if not gone up. So people bottom feeding or waiting to pick up. It may happen, but as of right now, I have not seen that happen at all. Now we're starting to get out and look again ourselves. We pumped the brakes for about 3 or 4 months because we didn't know what was going on. Is anybody going to pay their rent? I don't know. Well, people are paying their rent. So
Mhm.
now we're a little more comfortable. We're getting out there and we're starting to look again. So hopefully we'll find something in the next month or two that works.
And steadily focused in the Texas market. Austin, is it? Are you in various markets within Texas?
So right now we own 200 in Austin and we own about 750 in San Antonio. But we're looking to branch out to other dynamic markets. So we have our own management company, but we just opened a management company in Nashville as well. So we're trying to have boots on the ground there. So I don't want to go in and buy where I don't, have some sort of a presence because I don't choose to third party manage. I would if it was the right situation, but I want to manage it myself. I enjoy management and we're really good at it. So I wanted to establish a presence there. Now that we've had that management company up and running for about a year, it's time to start looking out there. So Atlanta's close, Birmingham is close. I think Kansas City's somewhat close, Indianapolis. All those are kind of close and they're really good markets. So we're going to start branching out.
Yeah. And in terms of, is it true that they say everything is bigger in Texas?
Well, I was going to be very inappropriate. I apologize, and I caught myself. The title of my book would tell you that I can be a little salty, so I'm sorry. But of course, now everything's bigger in Texas, right? In the South, everything is bigger in the South. It really is. In the Northeast, and even the older parts of the country. You're lucky if you have a 5 to 10,000 square foot lot in Austin. Oh my God, there's so many 1 to 4 acre lots in this town. There's just so much room to spread out. So yeah, things are bigger in Texas. There are a lot of 300 to 500 unit properties in this state. There are 1,000 unit proproperties in this state. So yeah,
That's almost a small community. That's like a small community because I did visit one hotel that was in Dallas, and the toilet was average size in the hotel, so I was a little disappointed. But yeah, that's just one example. So let's shift to our rapid fire sharing round, and we'll start with the first question. What is one absurd or just unusual thing that you enjoy doing?
Absurd or unusual? I'm not. I like bourbon. That's not absurd or unusual. I'm not a Star Trek, Star Wars dork, but I am a baseball dork, right? And I don't mean to be disparaging toward people that like sci-fi, but I call myself a dork. That's why I said it that way. I'm a fantasy baseball and football freaking nerd, dude. I love that stuff. But other than that, I'm just kind of a basic guy that has his nose down all the time, busting my ass, working, love to travel. But my nerdy thing would be I'm a huge fantasy sports guy.
Got it. Yeah, I used to be in fantasy, and I would spend days on the football side. Do you do baseball too? Because
baseball's my passion.
Oh gosh, how many games is it?
162. A lot. Well, this year it's 60, but it's normally 160.
Well, yeah. Fair enough. What is one common belief or one common myth that you hear in the industry that you can debunk?
One common myth. Well, I don't know if this is a myth, but maybe it is. Everybody thinks you got to go find the deal before you find the money. No, you got to find the money before you find the deal. And the other side of that would be, or the other one would probably be, well, anybody can do this. No, absolutely not.
Well, that's your book too.
Exactly. I firmly believe it's not because I'm trying to sell you a damn book. It's because it's the truth. I've mentored people for 8 years now. Most people that say, I want to syndicate like you, I want to be taught how to do it like you. Okay, I'll teach you everything there is to know about it. I firmly believe 70 to 80% of the people that think they can do it have no business doing this. It's not just spreadsheets and the ability to raise money. It's operating. Well, I'm not going to have a management company. Yeah, but you have to oversee somebody else's management company to make sure they're doing their job. You have to manage people because you're going to have investors. They don't have a lot of say, but that doesn't mean they're not going to still sometimes be a little weird. So that's the thing. Anybody can do it. It's super easy. I'm going to be rich tomorrow or yesterday when I start syndicating. It's a lot of work. You're going to get your ass sued. You're going to have complaints filed against you. You're going to do everything right, but you're still going to have people, you've got a target on your back because they think you're the rich guy. So they're coming after you. So if you can't handle that stuff, don't do this. It's great, but I really think most people shouldn't.
Got it. And what has been the most impactful gift for you, and that's been less than $100?
Oh, that's an easy one. Here. Now, this is weird. A friend of mine that I've kind of helped along the way a little bit, I had a birthday party a few years ago, and he walks in. Everybody knows that I like bourbon. So everybody's bringing me bottles of bourbon. He goes, I got to be different. So he had this made for me.
What?
It's probably $30 to $40, but he walked in with this wood carving that he got done for me. So that's the thing. That meant more to me than anything else. That was really super cool.
That is so awesome. And so last but not least, in terms of the questions, is why do you believe we're here on this earth, Bruce?
Wow, metaphysical here. I don't know, but what I do believe is we should all be good people, right? I'm not an atheist, don't take me wrong, but I don't go to church all the time, and that might rub some people the wrong way, and that's okay. I believe be a good person, help others. It's not a Democratic thing. It's not a Republican thing. It's a human thing. People need help. Some people need help. Look, I'll be honest. I won the lottery, right? I'm a white dude in America. It gets no easier. And I'm fully aware of that. There are a lot of people that are born very poor. I was born poor, but they're born in even worse things. I had a dad, I had a mom, I had a loving family, I had support around me. A lot of people don't have that. Well, they need to go out and make it on their own. They don't know how to make it on their own. Now, there are some bad people that are poor that will take advantage and rip you up. I get that too, but I think everybody needs some help. That's why I do these podcasts a lot of times, and I wrote the book. I'm not trying to get clients by writing the book. I'm not trying to get you to invest with me by writing the book. I'm trying to help you. I'm teaching you every single step to do a syndication. I don't want you to pay me for it. Now, if you want some hand-holding, okay, you can pay me, and I'll mentor you through it. But I'm trying to give freely and not expect anything in return, because I've got a great life, and by me helping others, it doesn't take away from my life at all.
Got it. Love it. And what is the name? Well, one, where can people find you? And two, what is the title of your book? I know it. You can go ahead and just drop it.
So, okay, you asked first, where do you find me? So apartmentguy.com. So it's apt-guy.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn, apt.guy, I think it is. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well. Now, here we go.
All right, here we go. It's about to drop.
I cuss a little bit, and I know that offends some people, and I apologize, but
it's all good.
Is a bitch, and you haven't been told. So again, it's a pull the curtain back, no holds barred. Look at what syndication is, and some of the crap that's going to happen. You might find a dead guy in your pool like me. I've had arson. I've had home invasions. We've had carjackings on our properties. We've lost $5 million for 3 days, and I didn't know where it went. That stuff is scary. And that's why I say most people can't do this or shouldn't do this. Let's put it that way. So that's the book. It's on Amazon, Audible. It's any and everywhere.
Got it. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast, Bruce.
Thank you so much for having me, brother. This was good.
Yeah. And those of you, don't forget, on the YouTube, hit that notification bell as well as the subscribe button. And until then, keep being awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks for listening to The Real Estate Experience. If this has brought you any value, please subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to me. Now go out there and crush it.